1,000 laughs over a weekend as swell. Vail Comedy Festival. Pet an alpaca or hike a trail. Memorial Day.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Mark Masters live from Vail Comedy Festival. Another virtual episode here. We're catching up with Travis Nye. He was a magician at the festival. I think are you in South Dakota right now?
I am in South Dakota, yeah.
So we're a couple days after the festival. He's returned home and we're going to catch up and just chat about the Vail Comedy Festival. How are you doing, Travis?
I'm doing great. It's good to be home, but man, I miss the mountains.
Oh yeah, you had a good time?
Oh yeah, I loved it there. It's great. I've been to Denver a few times, Boulder area, but never Vail, and I'm definitely coming back. So
awesome. Well, we're excited to have you back. It was a gorgeous weekend, although there was some rain here and there.
Yeah, but it wasn't too bad though. The weather was nice, and I mean everybody was out and about just enjoying the holiday weekend. So there's plenty of people out.
Cool. Have you ever done magic at a comedy festival before?
I've done a couple open mic spots for comedy events and things like that, but never like a designated set or anything like that.
Okay. Do they have festivals for magicians? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. They're more played off as conventions where they just try to sell you a whole bunch of stuff, but they do workshops and different things like that. And then Colon, Michigan is actually the magic capital of the world. I think it's 400 people population or something like that, but it's got like 4 magic shops, and there's a designated every year date that people go there and gather. So that's our festival.
Oh, that's fun. Cool. Yeah. So what do you look forward to when you go to that festival? What's something you like about it?
One of the most enjoyable parts of it is probably the least interesting to most people that aren't magicians, but at the end of the convention or festival or whatever, everybody lines the streets of Colon and just starts throwing playing cards, and the sidewalks in the street is just like wallpapered with playing cards. It's fantastic. It just looks really cool when it's done.
Can you stick a playing card in a watermelon?
Absolutely. I've actually got videos on my TikTok page cutting celery in half and carrots, stuff like that.
That's amazing. How many takes does it, like, is that something you can do live, or is that like a trick shot kind of thing?
Cutting things in half, it's going to take a few throws, but I have a target that I actually throw cards in from about 10, 12 feet away, and I'm pretty consistent at that. I do that in my live shows occasionally, but I got to be confident with it.
Yeah. So is the cutting in half, is it just like the angle has to be just right, or?
Yeah, pretty much. My biggest fear of cutting anything like that in half, like carrots particularly, is like when I've thrown cards before, it's not hit center, it's hit the side and then like ricochets off real fast. I'm afraid I'm going to hurt somebody in the front row.
Face in half.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's awesome. So no card throwing in Vail. What's something, if you go to one of these conventions or whatever, is there something maybe you don't love about traveling to these big get-togethers?
It's tough because I honestly love all of it. I mean, just hanging out with people.
You're a positive guy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a performer. You're a performer. Like, you know how you just want to be around people. Yeah. That's kind of where my comfort level is. So.
Nice.
No, and cool. I love going to different places, and checking those places out. Like I said, the people, and just seeing other people perform just kind of gives you a great perspective as far as like where everybody's at on that scale of performing, and kind of helps grade where you're at and some things you need to work on, don't need to work on. It's fun all the way around.
Cool. Okay, so you came to Vail. Yep. You stayed at Antlers, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, Antlers at Vail, great property over in Lion's Head. Did you enjoy your stay there?
Oh yeah, the place was phenomenal. Definitely felt like home. The view off the balcony was great, overlooking the trees there. Had the mountain in the background, nice little creek stream, water flowing nonstop. It was great. I spent more time out on the street, I won't lie, but when I was back in the room, it was just comfortable.
Nice. Okay, so you were a big part, mostly the whole part of our family-friendly entertainment over the weekend at the Rocket Fit stage. I wasn't at the very first show, but I saw some pictures. Looked like there were at least 100 people there. Tell me about that.
I was a little worried not knowing who all's going to be out, if people are traveling. Vail's kind of a destination spot, but even the locals like to travel, so you just never really know. But When I started the show, I had a handful of people there, and like within 10 minutes, I kind of took a moment to take it all in. And I mean, I was just surrounded. Like the crowd started gathering once they realized stuff was going on and there's a show, and it was great. The feedback was great. The people that were there that watched the show thoroughly enjoyed it. They came up and talked to me afterwards. A bunch of kids took pictures with me. It was fun.
That's awesome. Now, do you think after having talked to some of that audience, do you think they planned to be there and they were just showing up late, or was it like just people saw something was going on and that's why they gathered there?
You know, I set up all my show like a couple hours in advance because I wanted to have music playing and stuff like that, so people would hear that and assume like, you know, this is different. What's going on here? And I overheard, you know, probably a half a dozen people or so saying, "Is this where the magic show is?" And so they were ready for it. They were excited for it. And then, you know, just walking around in between time, I was just telling people like, "Hey, just a heads up, there's a magic show going on over here." And, you know, a couple of people were going hiking and things like that, which is fine. But most of them stuck around for the show.
Yeah, awesome. So we did promote it ahead of time, which I think helped a lot because we were in the Vail Daily event calendar and also had tickets online on Eventbrite. They were free, but a lot of people ordered those tickets. So I think word was getting around. I think one thing we're going to do next year to promote the kind of free events is we had these flyers printed for the festival, but I think I'm going to print specific ones for like an event like your outdoor magic show and then just give them to the performer. So you'd get a stack of, I don't know, 50 little flyers, and you can go around and bark and just hand them to people.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe they have a QR code on them and that goes to more information about that. And maybe they don't use it, but their neighbor has kids and they hand it to their neighbor, you know, that kind of thing. I'm trying to figure out how to, you know, I'm always looking for improvements. And that's one that I've written down.
Yeah. And you could promote it as a free show, but even if so, like the flyer actually acts as a free ticket. So that
that's a cool idea.
That way people are more willing to take, you know, that item because like, oh, it's a free ticket. Like, you know, they get a little bit more excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also in the second year, it'll be so much easier. You know, you'll get some of the audience will return. They'll have known about it. Maybe they'll have told some people about it. You know, this is the thing to check out Memorial Day weekend up in Vail. Nice.
No, it was great. And definitely while we're on the topic of doing those shows in that area, I think it was Adam there at Rocket Fizz, right? Yeah, he was phenomenal. He came on, did a whole little introduction thing. Thanked everybody for being there. So, I mean, Mark, you did phenomenal work for the whole thing that I seen, but you know, Adam did a really, really good job promoting the show too, and catering to even the audience that was there, not even just me, but everybody that was watching. So
he was such a great partner to the festival, and he and Rocket Fizz Vail are the reason that we had that free family friendly programming. That was his idea.
Nice.
And we worked on it together for 6 months, and it came together very nicely. And you were a huge part of that. So thank you for making it.
No, absolutely. I was happy to be there. And I think Adam actually posted some pictures on the Rocket Fizz Vail Facebook page. So
cool.
You can check those out too. Just going to his Facebook page, you'll see those. So.
Nice. Rocket Fizz Vail, go check them out. I bet if you ask nicely and mention the Vail Comedy Festival that you can get a little discount. And they have so many soda. Did you go shopping in there at all?
I did actually. I brought a whole bunch of stuff home for the family and things like that. And of course, you know, I don't know if it was you or Adam or who it was, but there's an amazing like gift box came back when I got to my room.
Adam put those together, and the volunteer staff, we delivered those to different hotels. And
nice. Cool. Yeah, it was super cool to walk in. So that took care of my personal sweet tooth for the weekend, but
nice.
Brought some stuff home for sure.
Awesome. So let's talk about the street magic you did. So you came over into Vail Village after the family shows and were wandering around. Tell me about some people you met or some interesting exchanges.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's funny because we got a permit to do fire eating as well. Can we talk about that?
Let me talk about that for a second, because that took, holy cow, did that take a lot of time. They are safe in Vail. Shout out to Rio Burgess. He is not messing around and very serious about his business, which I appreciate. You know, I don't want to burn down any more than the next guy.
Right.
A lot of hoops to jump through, phone calls, paperwork. We had to pay a permit fee for a class 1 fire effect. And you, Travis, you were really responsive and helpful with, you know, anytime I had a question, other than that one mix up where I was like, how much gas are you bringing? And I was thinking you were gonna say like, 3 tablespoons, 4 tablespoons. You're like 140 gallons to drive from South Dakota.
Right. I laughed pretty hard at that when you're like, no, for fire eating. I was like, oh, I thought we were calculating mileage. Yeah, that made me laugh pretty hard. I told my wife that story is pretty funny. But...
That's a good one. I'll tell that on stage sometime, maybe.
That's perfect.
A laugh a minute at the Vail Comedy Festival. Always something different to laugh about. So anyways, we got the permit. Okay, so continue on with your street magic story.
Yeah, so I actually learned fire eating specifically so I could do street magic because, I go to these places and when I'm doing my street magic, it's like, hey, how you doing today? Can I show you guys a trick? And, I do some street magic stuff in Vegas and everybody thinks they're going to get scammed. So everybody's like, no, thank you, not interested. And I get that even in smaller towns, like, no, thank you. This is weird. Like nobody does this type of thing. But Vail was awesome because, people were just walking around just looking for something to do. And so, when I'm there manipulating the cards and doing all the little flashy moves and stuff, people, it piqued their interest. And so they were very, very welcoming when I said, can I show you a magic trick? And they're like, yeah, because this is normal here. But no, it was a lot of fun. And I think, people coming up to you to see a magic trick, they don't really expect to be entertained by it or amazed by it because, they think of, the hokey magicians and things like that. But it was like really, really good reactions from these people because, I was trying to do some of my best stuff that I had for them to get them hooked. And even when I started doing the fire eating later in the evening, it was funny because right when I was walking down there from Bridges Bar to do it, of course, there's a police officer parked in that intersection. So I'm like, do I just light up and go for it? Should I talk to him first? And he's in conversation with other people. So I'm holding my torches and my fuel. And I'm like, I'm going to talk to him. And so I go up to him. He's like, what can I do for you? I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm setting up. I'm doing fire eating. He's like, yeah, you can't do that here. And I'm like, no, it's cool. We have a permit. I'm part of the festival. This is my designated space. And it's exactly where he was parked. And so, I had to wait for him to move a little bit. But there's a really cool picture Nick, your photographer, took where I'm doing fire eating in front of the police car there. So that was really cool to see.
That's funny. That's hilarious. Cool. Did you get rained on at all doing any tricks?
For the most part, not too bad. When I was actually doing the street magic stuff and I had people out and about, people were pretty self-aware that, it's not going to rain in this moment or not too bad. So it sprinkled, it drizzled a little bit here, but it didn't scare people off too much. Now the last day, I think it was Sunday, that evening, it pretty much rained all the time. And even my free family show kind of got rained out and we moved that into Rocket Fizz a little bit. And there's amazing group of, volunteers helping out. And even just the people walking through just for the show, they started grabbing stuff and helping me move in.
Yeah, shout out to Dave and Brooke. They did a great job.
Yeah, everybody is phenomenal.
Fantastic.
And then, that evening when I went to go do some strolling magic, the streets were pretty bare, but I was looking for food anyway and gathering my stuff. So I had my pockets lined. I caught a couple people underneath canopies and stuff, and I stopped and entertained them for just a little bit. But
nice. What a magical surprise for a visitor to Vail.
Right. Like, oh, well, the rain got me here. Let's see some magic. So
I like that too, the way you said strolling magic. I'm gonna have to use that. I've never heard that. I always call it street magic, but strolling magic has a kind of fancier feel to it.
Yeah, that's my corporate tongue speaking there. So
well, I don't know if you know this, but those beautiful brick lined streets in Vail, they're all heated in the winter. So
really?
So the snow won't stick. So it's an upgrade to streets, it's like Streets Plus. So strolling that works, that fits. Maybe we'll stick with that next year for the lingo. You mentioned eating. Tell me about some of the meals you had in and around Vail. Where did you go?
Yeah, man, I can't remember all the places that I.
You describe it. I'll tell you.
So the Italian pizza pasta place.
Vendettas.
Yep. So Vendettas was phenomenal. We went there late in the evening. I had my badge on saying that I was an artist for the festival, and even the staff was like, "Hey, are you a comedian?" I was like, "Actually, I'm a magician." They're like, "Can you show me something?" So I'm doing magic inside of Vendettas while I'm waiting for my food. So that was fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, so that's cool, and it's one of the things that it's kind of a niche what I do, because I can literally do it anywhere. I don't need a whole stand-up set for it. I can be like, yeah, I'll show you a quick trick, and so it's nice to have that kind of diversity from, like comedians, musicians, all these different things that would need that kind of a setup or a longer set, and I can just do a quick trick for you. And so that worked great for people walking around too. Let's see. I also had there's a barbecue place we went to.
Moe's over in closer to your hotel.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Moe's barbecue, incredible.
Yeah, that was on my way back to my room when it was raining. So they said that I got lucky. They were just locking the doors, but they'll take my order, and I was the last one. Nice. So I loaded up, and I just made myself miserable in the hotel room.
Got that good view, really and could hear the creek.
Yeah, yep.
Nice.
We had some pizza delivered to the room late night after all the comedy shows and stuff. I think that was Local Joe's, maybe?
Yeah, Local Joe's.
Yeah, so we went there. And then breakfast was just an array of coffee shops and muffins and samples everywhere. So we used up all those little tokens and donations, gift cards, stuff like that was given from all the businesses. So
I was really happy to see the Vail business community really came out for the artists and really supported the festival. It was the first year, and I went around and knocked on every door in Vail Village and Lion's Head and asked hundreds of people, is there any way you can help out? And I was shocked at how many people said, how many people said no at first, but eventually they came around. Once we had the banners up and the newspaper articles, and they were like, oh, this is a real thing. We should get they were very supportive and very friendly all weekend long to all the comedians and in your case, the magician. And so it was fun to see that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, every business I went into, they were either super nice, not knowing who I was, or if they did recognize the badge and for the artist, they were instantly just, super host in that moment. So
nice. So let me ask you, this is a question I usually ask comics, but I'm gonna twist it a little for you. It's a similar question. If you could go back, like time travel back to when you were first getting started in magic, what's some piece of advice, one thing that you would tell yourself?
Man, let me see here. So when I first started, I was pretty ambitious. My first paying gig was a restaurant job, and I'd walk around table to table, do magic for people. And I remember walking up to so many people that didn't understand that I was actually supposed to be there, not just a customer, saying like, hey, can I show you a magic trick? And those constant turn downs, like, no, we're trying to have dinner here, whatever, beat it, kid, type of thing. But learning how to build that rapport first, rather than just jumping into, can I show you a trick? Like, people like, wait, what? Like, caught off guard. Like, start a conversation with people, become their friend before their entertainer type of thing.
Right.
And anymore, like when I do a full show, it's less about the tricks and more about connecting with my audience.
Got it. Nice.
And that's what I probably wasted 7 years of performing not knowing that, to where I was pretty much just on stage doing a show and tell and being less entertaining and trying to fool people, and it just didn't work. As soon as I flipped that switch and learned it, the amount of shows and the reviews and ratings just took off.
I think that applies to comedy as well, because a big part of being on stage and working with an audience is, for most comedians, this isn't across the board, but most comedians, you want the audience to like you. Yeah. And once they like you, they'll forgive any kind of dip in your set, or they're behind you, and they so there is a big part of being on stage, developing rapport with the audience and making them like you, and then your jokes just hit so much harder, because they're not only laughing at the joke, they're also kind of cheering you on, because they're excited for you and for the experience. And that's great. Well, we had a great experience at Vail Comedy Festival. You were talking about surprising people with amazement. I'll just tell a quick story about Travis. He did an adult, not adult themed, but just not a kid's comedy show at Bridge Street Bar, which was kind of the heart of the comedy festival, where we had 6 or 7 venues where people could walk around to, but most of the shows or at Bridge Street Bar, and he did a magic show there. And we pulled in some comedians who, generally comedians are skeptical of magicians. It's kind of like a stereotype. And let me tell you, he pulled some comedians out of the audience and had them on stage, and they were blown away. I've been to some open mics this week, and comics were still talking.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some of those tricks. And they were just apparently Sammy, who you might not remember, but some people who listen to this might know who Sammy is. A lot of people asked him if he was in on the trick.
Is he
and,
the one
he was like, no, man, that I was as surprised as you guys were.
Yeah, that's great. That's funny to hear. Yeah, it's fun. One of the things that I love to break is that stereotype for magic is kids' entertainment. I love performing for adults more than kids just because their reactions are so much stronger, because most of them sit back like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And I'm like, no, you're not. And so even when I brought people up on stage, like Sammy, I joked with him. I was like, yeah, it's a lot more cooler when you're actually up here, isn't it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, even though it's a joke, it's the truth. Like, people are hesitant to join me on stage because they don't want to be put in the spotlight. But it's so much better when you get to experience it like what I do in your own hands.
Nice. Awesome. Well, hopefully you're back next year at Vail Comedy Festival. It's every Memorial Day weekend. Check out vailcomedyfestival.com for more info. Travis, where can people track you down?
Yeah, so everything's on my website. Just search magicoftravisnye.com or just Google search Travis Nye Magician. You're going to find a wealth of information. Everything from Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place.
Awesome. What a promoter Travis is. Doing hard work. All right, everybody. This has been another episode of Live from Vail Comedy Festival. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.